What's going on, family, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sean Harness. Look, if this is your first time joining me, hey, welcome. For those of you who have been rocking with me since day one, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hey, it's been a minute, but we jumping back on it. So, look, if you find value in this video, hit that like button. We're trying to get back into that good old algorithm. So today's topic, I want to talk to you all about pushing past those negative, toxic relationships, because I can be transparent with you and tell you that although I feel like I'm in an amazing relationship right now with my wife, it took some time for me to get there. Well, you get a few bad apples. One simple method, I like to call it the heal method. There's three parts. The first part is to be patient. Number two is to be diligent. And number three is to be kind. Quite simple, right? Stay to the end of the video and I'm going to break down exactly how I use the heal method to get past those toxic people that we deal with on an everyday basis. What's going on, family? Sean Harness here, jumping in for another video. Hey, look, before we get started, let me catch y'all up. We've been married for about a year now. Things are going great. We're happy. When you get married, it's a little bit different. So we've been getting to know each other all over again. We took a few trips. More recently, we took a trip to Belize. So for those of you who are not familiar with where Belize is Central America, right? So if you think about Mexico and you think about South America, Belize is in the middle. So we had a chance to visit a place called Placencia, which is a peninsula in Belize, and that was an outstanding trip. I mean, we had a chance to sit with the people, eat the food, talk with the locals. We even had a chance to get out to that nature that we were exposed to: jaguars, termites, termite nests, crocodiles, manatees. If you guys know what a manatee is, it's my first time seeing a manatee in person. The monkeys, we went out to the jungle. Like it was an outstanding trip. So I mentioned also we just bought a house. That's been a blessing for me because this is my first house, right? We built it from the ground up. So built it from scratch. We're the first people to ever live in this house. That's a blessing to me, coming from a person who grew up on the east side of Detroit. Didn't really have a bunch growing up as far as money, as far as a house. And now we have this whole big house, right? So it's been a blessing and it's been amazing. So we're just going to jump right into the topic. Today's topic is how to deal with toxic relationships or just past bad relationships that didn't work out. And first and foremost, let's define why is this important. So this is a money channel per se, right? So my goal on this channel is to help you to live an abundant, more full life that you deserve, because I feel like in some regard, we all deserve that. So on this channel, we have discussions about personal finance. We talk career, we talk business, we talk relationships. Today, we're talking relationships, and relationships mainly because there's no way to get around relationships. If you're looking to go up in a company, if you're looking to do business with someone, or also be very successful with a family, because most people know that when you have a family, you are 9 times out of 10 more financially stable than others who don't, right? So today's conversation is about relationships, and that is why relationships are important. So me and my wife always talk about how, when it comes to relationships, you won't necessarily always remember what a person did, but you'll always remember how a person made you feel. So jumping into the first way to really push past those people in relationships is to first allow yourself to feel. It's okay to get into your feelings. It really is. It's totally 100% okay. And that's what I feel like I needed to do to get past some of those relationships as well. So when it comes to feeling, I'm talking about it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad. Those things are normal. Those things are natural feelings. I feel what's most important is that even if you are feeling, you're in your feeling for that period of time, be in that feeling for a temporary amount of time, but not forever. That's what's most important. Don't let something temporary and unpleasant take you out of something that is positive and more permanent. So when I think back to dating can be hard. Breaking up with someone can be even harder. But when you push out of that headspace, you want to push out and not come into something new, something fresh something positive with all of that baggage that you have from that previous situation, that previous scenario. So next, I feel like what's important is that you go through a reflection phase. So reflection for me is really not just thinking about that person, but also thinking about what possibly I could have done. I feel like a lot of times people get into this, let me think about who was wronger than the other person. I feel like that's not really what's the solid point that's important here. The point is that there may have been something that you have done, even if you were less wrong than that person, to trigger them to do something else. The reflection piece is where essentially you are being patient, you're being diligent, right? You're thinking through kind of what happened, what you may have done, and also what you learned in that situation. Also, in that reflection phase, I had time to be further diligent and really work on myself. So, working on myself, here was I was really just getting into the gym more, right? I was working out more. I was focusing on what I was putting in my body. I was focusing on what I was eating. I was really focusing in on my money and my career, right? My personal finances, also business. I started to do much more consulting, right? So making more money. Those were things that I was really focused on. I started to get into church more and really just pay attention to the lesson, because back in the day, I didn't really grow up in the church. So being new coming into church, I really had to jump in and understand some of the lessons, where they came from, what they meant. I was making myself ready for that next phase, that next step, that next relationship with that next person. I was making myself ready before it even came. As I stated before, this can go romantic relationship. This can be a business relationship. This is it's literally all connected. So a lot of people here hate to hear this, but hey, go to therapy. Going to therapy was priceless for me. And I'm not talking about going to therapy like for one session or two sessions. I literally went to therapy probably for about a year, I would say. So with that being said, really had a chance and opportunity to learn the methods, learn about myself, learn about what I possibly did. Also learn the theory behind why this person may have did what they did and how that connected to me and how that affected me. And then get some tools with the therapist to figure out how I can potentially move forward and move through what I was going through. See, most people, they don't like to move through something. They will experience something, right? And once they experience it, they try and move around it. The best way to get past something is to move through. So jumping in from a relationship perspective, I also truly needed to understand what a positive relationship looked like. We're talking about romantic relationship, right? If I'm thinking about I want to court someone and I want to be married, okay, what I needed to do and what I did was I sat with people who modeled and emulated that type of marriage or that type of relationship that I wanted. This was done very carefully, right? Because I needed to make sure that this person did model a lot of those characteristics that I thought were important. Did they believe in a higher power, right? Were they kind to one another? Were they positive? Were they equally yoked? Were they good matches for one another? Those things were important for me to see in another relationship, because those other relationships that I saw that weren't working out, a lot of those positive things were never really emulated. In order for you to find that level of happiness or that relationship that you want, you honestly need to know what to look for. So when it lands at your doorstep or is something that you find, you know that you found it. So next, I also had to pay attention to the advice that I took from certain people, right? You need to be careful with the advice that you get from certain people. Let me repeat that, because what I learned is that, there were times when I was going through, say, a breakup. And as I was going through that breakup, I would look to some of the people that I would normally look to for advice, and they were essentially going through a negative and bad time. And so a lot of the knowledge, a lot of the good information that they would normally give me, they weren't able to give me because they weren't in that headspace, right? So I needed to be around someone that was in the headspace to give me good advice and also have my best interest at heart as well, because as we all know, there are some people who are, when they get in a certain headspace, they don't know how to separate. They can't separate. So if you're needing something from them, they can't give you what you need. And sometimes you even, what I've had to do is just realign my thought process of, is this person really a friend? Because I know for me, whether I'm in a good headspace or bad headspace, I'm going to show up. So the last piece I'll mention to you before we get out of here is that I literally had to learn how to forgive that toxic person. And this goes back to what I mentioned in the very beginning, the heal method, right? And so the last piece is being kind. Even though there were things that they did to me that I thought were really bad and really things that I would never do to them, I had to sit down and think about my heart. I also had to think about being kind and being someone who's a child of God. Sometimes, people get a lot more grace than they deserve, but that's just how it goes. Everything will work out as it's supposed to. It always does. It always has. Hey, look, guys, thank you for joining me today. That's it for the message. And hey, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. We out.